We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. We exist where power assumes silence, where uniforms replace accountability, and where violence is buried beneath rehearsed lies. We speak when fear is used as policy, and when truth is expected to disappear. And today the truth refuses to be quiet. All hell is breaking loose in Minnesota, not because of chaos, not because of crime, but because Donald Trump's ICE war just crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. A United States citizen is dead, shot in the face, in her own neighborhood, in broad daylight, by federal agents acting under Donald Trump's authority. And now the entire Trump regime is scrambling to lie fast enough to outrun the video evidence. This was not an isolated incident. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not a split-second mistake. This is the inevitable outcome of years of deliberate escalation, dehumanization, and militarization that transformed immigration enforcement into a domestic battlefield. Minnesota was not chosen at random. In the days leading up to the killing, the Trump administration openly telegraphed what was coming. Homeland Security officials bragged about flooding Minneapolis and surrounding areas with more than 2,000 ICE and Border Patrol agents. This was not targeted law enforcement. It was a show of force designed to intimidate communities into submission. Kristi Noem, Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security, filmed videos like a general announcing an invasion, boasting that ICE was coming to Minnesota. Her tone was triumphant, theatrical, almost celebratory. Federal power was being marketed like a costume, while real neighborhoods were treated like hostile territory. People in Minneapolis understood exactly what that meant. Community leaders warned that saturating neighborhoods with armed federal agents would escalate tensions. City officials raised alarms about uncoordinated raids and lack of local oversight. Civil rights advocates predicted violence. Residents feared exactly what happened to militarized force, unaccountable to the community, operating with rules so loose that lethal force becomes not the exception, but the result. Those warnings were ignored. Then came the protests. South Minneapolis, a neighborhood already scarred by aggressive policing and historical trauma, became a flashpoint. People gathered not to terrorize, not to riot, but to bear witness, to say clearly that they did not consent to being occupied by federal agents treating their city like a war zone. And in the middle of that environment, a woman was driving her car. She was 37 years old, a United States citizen, not armed, not hiding, not threatening anyone. She was simply present in her own neighborhood as ICE conducted raids around her. Witnesses say her vehicle became momentarily stopped in the street, briefly obstructing ICE vehicles from advancing. That alone enraged agents already operating with aggression and impatience. They shouted at her to move, to get out of the way. She complied. The video shows it clearly. The car moves backward, slowly, deliberately, not lunging forward, not accelerating, not swerving toward anyone. There is no attempted ramming. There is no attack. There is no imminent threat. And then the agents step alongside the driver's side window and open fire, 3 to 4 shots into her face. This is not disputed by eyewitnesses. This is not contradicted by the footage. This is not a matter of interpretation. Shots were fired from the side of the vehicle as it was moving away. That is not self-defense. That is execution. The reaction from the street is immediate and visceral. Screams, shock, rage. Someone yells, "You did a murder for what?" Another voice breaks in disbelief.
Photos right here for the truth. The driver moved the car backwards, you saw in the video, not in a menacing way, but to move, to get out, to comply with what was being said. Also, even if she didn't comply, that doesn't give the ICE Gestapo.
These are not staged reactions. These are the sounds of people watching the state kill someone in front of them. As the woman lay dying, witnesses report that a physician attempted to reach her. ICE agents blocked medical assistance. They blocked aid. That decision alone reveals everything. This was not about preserving life. This was not about safety. This was about control dominance and impunity. Within minutes, the Trump regime went into full damage control mode. The Department of Homeland Security and Border Patrol began pushing a story that directly contradicts what the video shows. They claimed ICE agents were victims of domestic terrorism. They claimed the woman tried to run them over. They claimed adverse weather trapped them. They claimed an officer fired defensively to protect himself and others.
You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well. You've seen me in the last couple of days deploy over 2,000 more officers to the Minneapolis area. And in the last 2 days...
None of those claims align with reality, and they knew the video existed when they made them. This is not confusion. This is deliberate narrative laundering. The Trump regime understands that if it can label any obstruction, any civilian presence, any moment of resistance as terrorism, then any killing becomes justifiable after the fact. That is why Kristi Noem went on camera and framed this killing as a domestic terror attack. That is why she emphasized officer fear. That is why she repeated claims of vehicle ramming. This is an attempt to redefine reality so thoroughly that the public no longer trusts its own eyes. But the footage is stronger than the lie. The mayor of Minneapolis watched the video himself, and unlike the Trump regime, he did not hide behind talking points. He stated publicly that what happened was reckless, unjustified, and deadly.
So, they are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed.
He told ICE to get the hell out of Minneapolis. He said this was exactly what city officials feared would happen when an unaccountable federal force flooded neighborhoods already under stress.
There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
He made it clear that ICE is not here to provide safety. They are here to sow chaos and distrust. And he was right. As protests erupted after the killing, more ICE and Border Patrol agents responded not by de-escalating, but by firing so-called non-lethal rounds into crowds. Anyone paying attention knows these weapons can maim and kill. People have lost eyes. People have suffered permanent brain injuries. Calling them non-lethal is marketing, not medicine. This is how occupying forces behave. This is what militarized policing looks like when restraint disappears. While this was unfolding, Kristi Noem continued making media appearances, repeating the claim that citizens and people here legally have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. A United States citizen had just been killed. Those words should echo in every courtroom, every investigation, and every historical record that examines this moment, because they expose the moral collapse at the heart of the Trump ICE war. This woman followed instructions. She moved her car. She attempted to comply, and she was still executed. If that does not terrify you, it is because you are being conditioned not to feel fear when you should. The regime understands the danger of the truth. That is why they immediately framed the victim as a terrorist. That is why they rushed to control the narrative. That is why they flooded the media with repetition instead of evidence. They are not defending justice. They are defending impunity. Soon after video emerged, showing the ICE agent believed to be the shooter fleeing the scene roughly 90 seconds after the killing, protesters shouted for the vehicle not to leave.
Don't let the murderer leave! Don't let the murderer leave! You guys are the fucking criminals! You don't get to tell us what to do! Fucking criminals! Don't let him leave! Don't let him leave!
Pussy motherfuckers, man!
No! Get the fuck out of our neighborhood!
Another clip shows a masked agent walking away from the crashed car as people chant shame.
Shame! 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 Shame!
This is not transparency. This is flight. A United States senator confirmed publicly that a U.S. citizen had apparently been shot by ICE and warned that the situation on the ground was volatile. Even elected officials had to retreat for safety. That alone shows how completely this operation spiraled out of control. And still the Trump regime persists. They insist this was self-defense. They insist this was terrorism. They insist they are the victims. This inversion of reality is not accidental. It is central to authoritarian power. When the state kills, it criminalizes the dead. When agents abuse power, they cast themselves as endangered heroes. When video exposes truth, they drown it in talking points. But repetition cannot erase what people saw. This killing is now part of a growing pattern. Across the country, IS operations under Trump have become increasingly aggressive, increasingly militarized, and increasingly detached from oversight. Raids are conducted without coordination. Agents wear military gear. Communities are treated like enemy territory. And every time something goes wrong, the response is the same: deny, deflect, demonize. Minnesota was supposed to be another intimidation campaign, another message that federal power cannot be questioned. Instead, it became a breaking point. This time the victim was undeniably a citizen. This time the video was immediate. This time local leadership refused to play along. And this time the lies collapsed under the weight of evidence. What happened in South Minneapolis is not just a tragedy. It is a warning about what happens when law enforcement becomes ideological enforcement, when agencies are rewarded for fear instead of restraint, when political leaders celebrate violence as strength and dismiss accountability as weakness. This woman did not have to die. She died because the Trump regime created an environment where compliance does not matter, citizenship does not matter, and human life is secondary to domination. She died because propaganda taught armed men that any civilian movement is a threat. She died because leadership taught them that killing would be defended, excused, and reframed. We are anonymous. We will remember her. We will document every lie. We will archive every clip. We will preserve the truth long after the talking points fade. Share this story. Save the footage. Demand accountability. Because when the state kills and calls it safety, silence becomes complicity, and we refuse to be complicit.